I suspect they have a sort of handbook on how to break unions. Well, you know what? Working class is stronger than the lawbreakers of those that try and do union busting.
You call me a partner, but you are an employee. You are being victimised by this corporation.
Do you know what? We're going to win this one. We're going to get union recognition, and we're going to get decent work conditions. And after Starbucks, we'll move on to all the others.
This is Baristas United, a campaign to get hospitality workers to unionise. Comes off the back of the success of the Starbucks Workers United campaign in the US, where over 250 stores have recognised trade union agreements. Outside a Starbucks on New Oxford Street in London, Starbucks workers are being urged to follow suit.
And following on from what the great work trade unions have been doing in the States, Unite and Bakers Union have launched a campaign today called Baristas United to help organise a sector that is riddled with exploitation, low pay, extreme hours.
In the US, Starbucks isn't playing fair.
If you're curious and would just like to witness what a bad faith negotiation process looks like between employers and unionized employees, look no further than Starbucks.
We have to demonstrate to our people they can trust us, and we have to show up.
Could you ever see doing that and embracing the unionist part of it?
No.
What do you make of the union busting in the US?
What's disgusting? Union busting, it's awful.
I suspect they have a sort of handbook on how to break unions. Well, you know what? Working class is stronger than the lawbreakers of those that try and do union busting.
All workers are doing is they're standing up and using their power as working class people to demand better standard of living. And Howard Schultz, a multi-millionaire CEO, and the bosses in Starbucks are just attacking them because all they want is a decent standard of living. So it's about driving up standards in the industry. So in our industry, we're routinely paid minimum wage or just above it, extreme hours, ridiculous. Some employees will refuse to give people breaks even though it's legislatively mandated. And we are probably one of the most exploited workers in the whole of the industry, and we're mainly young workers, women, migrant workers, all of these, and we're extremely exploited. And it's about trying to improve the sector as a whole to make sure that if you're going into a hospitality job, you're not expecting to be treated badly, you're expecting to actually have decent standard of living.
Is there a way for both to live in harmony?
My belief is that we have built a company that is centered around exceeding the expectations of our people and our customers. And that is the vision we have for the future.
No matter who you are or what you believe in, there's a place for you in Starbucks, and it's a place where you can grow yourself and be yourself. Everyone is welcome in Starbucks.
Corporate BS, if sorry about that, but yeah, it is. It's about trying to make it a family, trying to kind of plaster over what's actually there. And in a lot of hospitality employers will do it. They'll talk about how great they are, and obviously some are and some aren't. But it's a realization where they're coming. You call me a partner, but you are an employee. You are being victimized by this corporation. So yeah, it is just trying to plaster over how they're actually treated.
Are there Starbucks workers present at the rally now?
There isn't. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're trying to hit them, because they aren't unionised and they aren't members of the union, and we're trying to get them onto the union because we know that's what's going to make their standard of living better. So we do have some membership in Starbucks, in Unite and in Bakers, but it's obviously not enough to be really pushing standards, and that's what we're trying to do here today.
Do you like their coffee?
Do I what?
Do you like Starbucks coffee?
It's all right. It's not the best, but it's all right.
Should we get a chant going? Yes. What do we want to say?
Everywhere we go!
Baristas United will never be defeated! Baristas United will never be defeated!
Do you know what? We're going to win this one. We're going to get union recognition, and we're going to get decent work conditions. And after Starbucks, we'll move on to all the others.
How do you expect Starbucks to react to this?
I think they won't be very keen on it. They probably won't be very pleased by it, but They're a big name. They are on every high street all over this country. They're indeed all over the world. I think they should recognise that if they're going to tell us they buy sustainable coffee from properly appointed growers and so on all around the world, also applies to their workforce.
What is the disconnect between the huge profits that Starbucks and other corporations see and how well their employees are paid?
There's a massive disconnect that the huge profits that are made, and there's all sorts of financial manoeuvring that has to be looked at about where the profits are obtained from. My view is that every company should pay the corporation tax and all other taxes in the place where they make the money, rather than move it to another tax revenue establishment. And they are very profitable. They can well afford to pay people properly. Young workers don't necessarily have the same family trade union traditions. After all, we've had quite a long time of anti-trade union law in Britain, and our history and education system doesn't necessarily teach people about the strength of working class unity and what they can achieve. It wasn't that long ago, in my memory, that employment law introduced by an earlier Tory government took away union funds and imprisoned 5 dock workers in Pentonville prison. Mass action over only 1 week resulted in their release and the repeal of that legislation.
So we've got John McDonnell, the MP.
Okay, thanks for turning out. It's really great. About 8 years ago, it might have been 9. I'm losing track of time now. But thank you for your support, comrade. About 8 or 9 years ago, we launched the fast food campaign. In those days, we had the tactic of going into McDonald's, sitting down, and then someone would get up, stand on the table and make a speech, etc. I expect you to be more disciplined than that today. Those tables were pretty wobbly at the end, and we did no risk assessments, unfortunately.
Yep, so in 2017 I worked for McDonald's, and we organised the first McDonald's strike to take place in the UK due to, poverty wages, precarious contracts, 0-hour contracts, and we were fighting for union recognition in McDonald's as well.
And then what was the outcome of that?
So we won the biggest pay rise that McDonald's has ever awarded, which equated to something like 50p an hour for workers, which is obviously a big win. We did win an end to 0-hour contracts as well. They weren't great. Obviously, they favoured McDonald's over the employees, so they weren't great, and the fight did continue. But I suppose the biggest thing that we were fighting for was wages that people could afford to live on, and union recognition, which would have helped all of the workers have more power at work.
And then what can Starbucks workers learn from your campaign?
I think, just to get organised, what I found in McDonald's was that being in a union really shifted the balance of power back to the workers. So when things did go wrong, we were then able to have a voice and have a say over how things were done. We represented people during grievances and helped people out, keep their job and, really help them, which wasn't happening before the union, because people didn't know their rights or that they were allowed to fight back against, bullying management or poverty wages. So I think my message to Starbucks workers and precarious workers anywhere is join a union, get involved in the campaigns, and you're stronger together. And I think that's the most important message, and I've seen it that it is true and it does work.
What would you tell the people working in Starbucks behind us?
I would tell them, you deserve to be paid fairly, you deserve to be treated properly. A day's work should be fairly paid and you should be treated properly at work. I think, my message to them really is join a union, get involved in campaigns like Baristas United, and really get involved. And it's like I said, you really are stronger together. A collective voice is stronger than one voice. And I think, together we can win.
What do you make of Starbucks coffee? Do you like it?
I don't really like coffee, so I don't really support Starbucks, or I don't shop there, as it were. But no, I'm not a massive coffee drinker.
The history of trade union struggle is that it's never easy. But when you've won that recognition, you've got that sense of achievement in gaining recognition, you're then in a position to protect or improve your working conditions, protect or improve your wages, and that is a lesson to everyone else. And so when the rail workers take strike action, when the communication workers take strike action, the teachers, the nurses, civil servants, or any other group, they'll be told by our newspapers and our politicians, there's other people worse off than you. Well, fine. Is that a reason that they shouldn't be decently paid? Is that a reason why they shouldn't stand up for their rights? And let's get it going. But you know what? It doesn't have to be dull. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be something that's depressing. I've been on picket lines for the security workers outside the hospitals and other places. And you know what? A little bit of music goes an awful long way. So let's do it with music in future as well. Thank you, Bakers Union. Thank you, Unite. Thank you, all of you, for being here today.